Updogg, you got another great guest for us today. One of your former teammates and a guy that I battled every now and then after a whistle here or there. But tell our listeners who you got on.
Yeah, I think everyone battled with this guy. Yeah, this handsome Northern Albertan. This guy played 1,249 games, Obes.
Wow.
So he had
That's a lot of games.
He had a lot of PIMs. Yeah, he doubled that in PIMs almost. 1,800 PIMs. An NHL All-Star, but an All-Star on and off the ice all the time. 6th overall in 2000. 6th overall, not a bad pick.
Same as you, right?
Not a bad pick. Wow. A guy that, first time I ever landed in Nashville as a young kid, he picked me up. He took me for lunch, had a glass of wine with me. Kind of said, this is what life's going to be like for you now moving forward, and we're happy to have you here. But a gentleman who I consider a really good friend and one of my best teammates ever, Mr. Scott Hartnell. Scotty Hartnell, how are you, buddy?
What's up, fellas? Good to see you guys.
Yeah, bud, you're looking fresh, Hartsy. Good haircut, bud.
Thank you.
You're looking mean. Is that for TV? Out of the shower.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I've always, like my beers and pasta on the road. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be after I quit playing, right? But I've been playing lots of tennis, and I've kind of stayed around my playing weight, I guess, about 220.
I wish I could say the same, Hartsy. But Hartsy, you ever play? Me and Uppy play a lot of pickleball. You said tennis. Have you ever played pickleball?
A few times, yeah. I love the game. Pickleball is the same thing. It's strategy. It's kind of knowing your opponent, what his weaknesses are, try and get them moving, and just having a good time. I got a good few people that I play here in Haddonfield and just outside of Philadelphia. So I absolutely love it. If I didn't have tennis, I don't know because I can't run. I don't want to go to a gym and work out. Like I'm not that guy. So tennis is a perfect fit.
Yeah, when you got a TV gig and you do, and we'll talk about that, you got to kind of stay looking sharp. You got to have, you got to keep your hair tight. You can't grow this greasy beard mustache all the time. Geez, when you're on national TV all the time, it keeps you active. But you talk about strategy. You were one of my favorite guys to sit on the plane with and throw the cards around, Hartsy.
Oh,
a poker guy since day one. You got me into it. You're one of the most competitive guys. Who would you say in your days playing cards was the best poker player?
I hate to say it. I hope I know he listens to it. You guys had him on there, but probably Carbomb, Dan Carcillo.
Wow.
He always just knew how to read guys. He would always call when you're bluffing. You couldn't bluff him out of a pot. Played with probably the best question is who is the worst guy?
Yeah, I know who you're going to tell now. Yeah.
There's a few terrible guys that were like, Jordan Tutu.
This is terrible.
You'd go all in, and he's looking at his cards, and he's got there's ace, king, queen, jack, and all you need is any of those or a 10, right? And he's like, I got pocket twos. You got me again. Rebuy.
We would call him betting toots. It was standard that he'd be in a 2 or 3 rebuys before the plane would even take off. Before the engine even turned on, fucking double rebuy. But toots is good. We had Bizzle on, so we had Bizzle with us in Tahoe. He came on the live podcast. But when we go back to our Nashville days, Bird Dog, I mean, we were young, and Nashville's changed so, it's changed. Obi was young, too, when he played there. But met a lot of good people there. A place I always said I'd go back and live. I bought your condo at the time when I played there.
Yeah, you did.
You rinsed me on that one. But do you still keep in touch with some people back in Nashville? What a great city. I know it holds a special place in our heart, but have you been back there lately?
I was back the year after I retired. They did an honoring night for me there. Dropped the puck with my son, and saw some of the guys. Chris Mason I talked to a little bit. Hal Gill played with him for the Flyers, and now he lives down there and does the radio color. So a few of those guys I keep in contact. Joe Hansen, Yossi texts those guys every once in a while. Now they're winning games. They actually respond to you. Now they're winning games. Life's good.
Crazy how that works.
Oh, I know. But no, those guys are such great guys in the city. Yeah, it's totally changed. If you would have told me that, not only every bar on Broadway, but they're building up on all the bars. So that instead of 2 stories, now it's 3 or 4 and a rooftop patio. It's just absolutely insane. But yeah, definitely some good times here when we were younger. There at the old Humpton Inn.
The Humpton Inn,
practice rink.
I stayed there when I got traded. I stayed there for 3 weeks.
I did a lot of humping at the
sakes.
Humpton Inn.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was hilarious. It was just this little tiny shitty hotel.
Shitty by the practice rink.
Right beside the practice rink. They had a Jersey Mike's beside it, so you get a sub.
I ate there too much.
No, that's great. The tin roof was... the tin roof's a special place. In fact, Jimmy always wears the tin roof 2 hat that Bizzle gave him.
Yeah.
Shit, we grew up in there, Hartnell. I think I learned to do shots, put a bucket on my head, and get up and play music all at the same time.
He's still doing that today, too, by the way.
It's so good. Like, afterwards, you just go grab something quick. Meet you at the roof in, 30 minutes, and we'd be there at game would end at 10:30. We'd be there at 11:15, and, I'll be a few hours drinking and having a good time, just being idiots. But it's amazing that you're all done. You're like, oh, what was the best time of my career? It's all the stuff with the guys, right? Okay, I'll meet you here, meet you there on the road. You talk about the cards on the plane and the dinners the night before big games and stuff. That's the stuff that jumps out to me that you miss the most.
Yeah, people think about Maya and Vancouver. I'd say Nashville was the city. I was only there for 1 year, but where I drank the most. Just because you leave the rink after practice and the weather's nice, you can go to Tin Roof or Winners or Losers, cheap beers, live music. It was such a great city, Hartsy. And my question, when you saw them go to the Stanley Cup Finals in that city from where it came when you first went there to then, it blew me away. And I was only there for 1 year. You must have been really blown away by that, right?
Ridiculous. So there's a picture from, I don't know if it was from a drone up on Broad Street, and it was like the sea of yellow, right? And everyone's partying, and it's like Vegas nowadays. Like, you have so much energy in that city, pre-gaming, from noon to 7, and everyone's, drunk going into the games, and then they're just loud and electric. You win, you go back on Broadway for another 4 or 5 hours. You could probably only do a couple days in there before you, the body would start shutting down. But it's just a great place to play, great people, nice people. And the best part about it, they have all the country music stars, and people just leave them alone. The Keith Urban, and he's at Starbucks, and people say, hey, but they're not asking for pictures, bugging them, kind of hassling them. It's a bunch of cool people down there.
Hartsy, I'm just curious, when you first came to Nashville, and obviously the way you played and in people's face, who was the one veteran guy that maybe took you under your wing and showed you off the ice and to become the teammate that you turned into?
Yeah, Cale Hulse comes to mind. He was there for a few years. We lived in the same apartment complex. He was a beauty. He was a little bit of a playboy himself back in the day, but
and then he married one. And then he married one.
Yeah, true. But I hung out. There wasn't many guys my age, right? It was an older league then, right? So everyone was 25s with kids, and then there was the mid 30s, Bill Holder, Greg Johnson, God rest his soul, and a few of those guys. So I kind of chummed with everybody a little bit older than me. So it was kind of fun to hear their stories and all the stuff that they do, or their kids. And Cliff Ronning was a guy that chummed around with as well. So that was just seeing those guys and how long they've been around the league. It was pretty cool to hear all those stories. And I think that they were good to me back then, that I was able to be good to young guys when I was a little bit older in my career.
Hartsy, you'll love this. Fucking, you bring up the name Bill Holder. Trotz in practice, you speak. Hey, do you know who you remind me of? I'm like, who's that? Fucking Bill Holder. I'm like, I don't think that's a compliment, Trotz.
Yeah, where are my handlebars? I didn't drive in on my Harley.
I had to Google him. I'm like,
off the glass it out. Off the glass.
Bird Dog,
specialty?
My first year, Bird Dog, our practice rink. I'd show up to practice some days. There'd be 6 Harleys in the parking lot. They'd all come humming in from Franklin on their Harleys. It'd be like him, Clark Wilm. Was it Hulse?
Players were rocking Harleys?
Vokoun had a Harley.
Vokoun had one. He had a V-Rod actually at the same bike I ended up buying. But Billy Holder was hilarious.
Was he there when you were there?
Yeah, I was my very first year he was there. Bird Dog, do you remember my first trip to New York? It was actually my first year. I was 19. My first road trip in the NHL. My first game was Long Island. Then we went and played Marty Brodeur and the Devils. And then we went in and had 2 nights off in New York City, and we had the green light. And I had no idea at the time, I had no idea what a green light meant. And sure enough,
you figured that out quick, didn't you?
Sure enough, I tag along with Brent Gilchrist and Clark Willem, and they take me to this bar, Hogs and Heifers.
I remember.
And that's in that was in Meatpacking District before Meatpacking District was what it was. And I walk in, and I'm in my shirt, I'm in a suit and tie, and I look like I had the fucking blonde curls, and I was a young upshot.
Yeah.
Frosted tips.
And this fucking coyote ugly bartender stands up on the bar with that xylophone thing. and she has the hose on the fucking thing, and she just starts launching me with whatever water and starts calling me out. Look at this little playboy in here, blah, blah. But we had practice the next day, which is like the green light, the day after the green light practice where everyone's shit faced. And the oval are the vowel line, Orzog. We had a line of forwards, the Czech guys. And
Erat.
I love Erat.
And Arkhipov. And they could not fucking stand up and skate. We were at the harbor, rink, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just remember watching these guys skate around, and I'm like, is this fucking the NHL? These guys literally can't fucking put their skates on and stand up.
Well,
Trotz was the best coach too.
That's the one with all the bras.
All the bras and panties.
Yeah. I was like, oh wow, this is cool. I love the part.
It was kind of a little taste of Nashville inside New York.
Hey, Hartsey, Updogg brings up Trotzy, and I only had 1 year with Trotzy, but people ask me this day who was my favorite coach, and he probably wasn't the best. Well, he wasn't the best X's and O's, but just from a perspective of getting the boys going, I love Trotzy. Did you have the same kind of feeling for him with your time in Nashville?
Yeah, I don't think I probably appreciated him as much as I do now being done, and I've seen other coaches. You know, he got the best out of a lot of guys, and let's be honest, Nashville's lineup, they weren't spending even close to what the Red Wings were spending, you know, in the early 2000s, right? They're spending $20 million on a whole team. You know, now they're spending, you know, 75 on a team, and they have superstars and whatnot. But he just had everyone dialed in the system. He's done it wherever he's gone. He dialed in Ovi when he won a Stanley Cup in Washington. He's done the same thing to Matt Barzal, and that whole group, they play such good defense. And if you don't play that way, and he knows it's effective because it's work, right? He's won, 860 games plus whatever he's won. So just really incredible. And, I respected him, but, I don't think I respect him as much as I probably should, because I was, a young punk, thought I was the coolest cat in the bag, right?
Bird Dog, I say the exact same thing, man, word for word. Trotzy was, and he was hard on me because, well, obviously he should have been. I was probably wasn't as serious as I should have been back then. And I was running with and me and Toots kind of like we were best buddies, and it was easy to kind of get off the path a little bit, so to speak. And then the lockout came, and we had so much fun in Milwaukee, and I'm sure they heard about all that, even though we were super successful in Milwaukee. I think they just wanted us to take it a little more serious, right? Yeah. And you would expect the same. As I grew up, and I had to pull guys aside in St. Louis, like younger guys, and I don't have to mention names, but I'd be like, hey, you remind me of me when I was your age, and I just want to tell you how this is going to go.
Throw a domer on me.
Where was my speech, Updogg? Where was my speech?
Mixing a domer.
Hazy, I wasn't quite old enough yet with you.
You're his running mate. He wasn't telling you. He's like, Hazy, let's go.
But Hartsey, it just brings me into this next thing we wanted to talk to you about, coaches and how hard how hard some of these coaches are. We just had we talked about Daryl Sutter. Yeah. We've talked about
Tortorella, yeah. That's
there was something that Trotzy did to you in a season at the end of the season that you'll never forget.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking when he piped me, when he scratched me.
Yeah, you were going for the Iron Man. You played in every game, and
I played all 80 games. Is game 81, and I was not playing bad. I don't think and I'd have to go back and watch the 10 prior games. And that morning skate, I was like, I scored every single shot. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna light it up tonight. Feeling it. And after practice, he brought me over, and this is after practice, and I'm like, he's like, you're not playing tonight. And I was like, huh? Excuse me? And I was like, you're doing what to me? And he's like, yeah, you're not playing tonight. I think your game's been slipping. I'm like, this is this is a joke, whatever. We kind of went at it a little bit. He left, and I got bag skated.
I was with you, by the way.
Stands. Yeah,
I was getting bag skated with you.
My stick went like 40 rows up in the, almost in the upper bowl. I came off. I punted my helmet, threw my stuff around. The media's in there, and one of the brainiacs is like, "Oh, I take it you're not playing tonight," And I'm like, "What do you think?" And I remember saying something like, I think it was pretty gutless move. It's not often. I've never played all 82 games, and to the way I play in this league, it's probably something you shouldn't do. Maybe just talk to me before you scratch me. Blah blah blah. And then it came out the next day in the papers what I said, and And, David Poyle called me in, Trotz called me in, and it's like, you can't say this stuff in the paper. I'm like, well, it's my feelings. Like, why can't I say that, I thought it was Bush League that you guys did that. And, game 82, I think it was a 2-on-1, pulled up, clapper, like barring down on a 2-on-1. And I'm like, I didn't even celebrate. I was just so mad that they scratched me for that one game. But
it's something though. And you deserve to play in that game. I don't care what anyone says. At 80 games, it's such a feat. And not many guys ever play full 82.
No, it's hard.
I played 16 years. I did it once. But it's impossible to
imagine if they would have scratched Yandel at the beginning of this year. You just got 900 straight. Like it's something you don't do, even though maybe his game wasn't at the level or something. You got to stick with those guys. And I think I was 21 maybe at the time, or 22, something like that. But still, I thought it was a Bush League move. Still do, actually. I
guarantee you, Trotz, if you asked him to, would be like, I made a mistake there.
Well, it probably wasn't just him.
No,
right?
it was Poyle.
We know how David.
But
Poyle
it affects the locker room too. I feel like, because guys are pulling for you to be able to play in all 82 games, like you guys said. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah, Hartsy. I don't know if it was the same way when you guys were there, but my one year, Trotzy couldn't tell the fourth line who was playing, who wasn't playing, because Poyle was making the lineup. So these fucking poor fucks, they would have
Not
to
tonight, Upshaw.
Shit. I'm like, so after halfway through the year, I'm like, Trotzy, you got to tell these poor fucks if they're playing or not. Like, there's 4 guys going home thinking they don't know if they're in the lineup or not. Like, maybe they want to just have lunch normally. So he did the same thing for you guys.
Me,
right?
Smithson, Fiddler. And I mean, then there'd be an older guy, and he'd come in, he'd look around, and he'd just go, Upshaw, not tonight. I'd be like, oh, again, I just got to go ride that bike.
But then there'd be like there'd be 7D out there too, and he'd be like, sorry there, and just go straight out the dry erase, keep your head up, everyone's waiting for him to come in. So
that's the worst thing.
Oh.
I don't know about you, Hartsy, but with your time there, you might have had a couple bad years. You were there for, I think, 7 years, correct? But I was there 3 years. When I got there, they were toilet bowl, man. We were bottom of when I got there, we were last place, and that's just unheard of for Philly fans. And so it could only have got better. And then, the transition we had, I always tell people, and we had Carbomb on, which was a great interview, but he even said that group of guys we had back then, had we, had say it might have been a goalie or a save, a save here or there. Marty Baron was a great goalie for us, but if there was a stud that was, that just got you over the edge, Fleury, we lost to Fleury the one year for when I was there, got outplayed by probably Sid and Malkin too. But anyway, that group of guys, awesome and almost there. And that's what kind of the new Philadelphia Flyers look like to me. They just need to put it all together. And it's a tough package to do when you're in Philly, because you usually have that pressure all the time. But without no fans, that they kind of don't. I don't know. I was noting where I'm going with that. But
we did have some good squads, though.
Hell yeah.
Great guys and people who care for each other. And that's one thing, too. Do they really care if they're winning or losing? Of course these guys care. I know 5 or 6 of them really well, Jakey Voracek, JVR, Claude Drew, and those guys care. They want to win. They're in the twilight of their career. They're in the back nine, and then they want to get it done, in Philadelphia, where, you win a Stanley Cup here, you make a big run, you're legends here forever.
Hartz, you bring up Voracek, and at the start of the year when he sounded off on that guy in the Flyers media, and I know you're media, we're all media now, but I thought it was great. And just touch on your time in Philly. Obviously I played against you, and I knew the fans of Philly loved you the way you played, but dealing with the media in Philly when you're a player, was it something that you had in the back of your mind all the time?
Yeah, they're always looking for something. They're always looking for you to slip up. They're looking for, who was out the night before a game or after that game. And, then they trace the wins. Oh, maybe they were out here because of this. And, I've listened to you guys before with just the beauties that we've had on those teams. So it's been, I don't regret doing anything that I did here in Philadelphia. I actually was the guy that wasn't actually involved in any of those rumors, which is hilarious, because it was always Richards and Karst and Uppy and Carbomb, and I'm right there leading the pack, and I'm like, how come I'm not in this? This is perfect.
I tried to get traded to you guys after you guys came into Vancouver and absolutely spanked us the one night. We went out, the whole squad was back at my house, And then the next night I was with Richie. I'm like, Rich, you got to get me to Philly, man. You got to get me in. You guys have such a fun team. But you could tell Hartsey not only playing against you. Obviously, I knew Uppy and Loops, but the way you guys played on the ice and hung out off the ice, it made a difference. Like kind of like those LA Kings teams with Stoli.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, you talk to any of those guys off the record, but they had so much fun, right? And that's what brings a team together. And nowadays, it's especially this COVID stuff, it's really hard to do anything, obviously, but you have a good group off the ice. It totally correlates to on the ice, how you care for each other, how you stick up for each other. You want to go to war for that guy. You stick up for guys, which kind of brings the team together on the ice too. So. Everything about those years were, my best years. I was playing well, scoring goals, all that kind of stuff. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, Bird Dog, you talk about like these guys and like having fun and being able to, the COVID stuff ruining it. You'd always throw the team parties. You had a sick pad in Philly, sick pad in Nashville. Yep. Halloween, you killed every Halloween. Larry Bird. Larry Bird. Oh yeah. What were you for Halloween this year? Like, let me ask. Probably Larry Bird.
No, this year, I was a big blow up dinosaur. The big air. I've got 2 kids now, so my son was a big dinosaur fan. Molly, my daughter, was a little gingy dinosaur egg, and my wife was the paleontologist looking for bones in the backyard.
So they're creative. They're creative.
Yeah, so he always threw the best parties. Yeah. So I don't know how he didn't get tied into the conversations about it. These guys are having too much fun. Bird Dog, let's talk about on the ice, because I don't think anyone really does what you used to do when you played, which was have fun. And not enough guys enjoy the game and smile. And it was one thing you taught me, which I think I ended up being a professional at, was coming to the rink with a smile on my face, making sure everyone, if we're in the dog days or whatever, we're in the NHL. Let's enjoy this. Bird Dog on the ice, some of the antics he would do would be, it would make everyone laugh. Coaches, I'm sure GMs, fans, from the Hartnell down to, the time when you fucking threw your glove at Malone. Like if that ever happened right now, it would be all time. And it's not too long ago, but that kind of persona and what you did for the game that way, making it fun was something, that your peers and everyone will always laugh and think of you with your long hair falling down. And now you got a kid's book. Thank you for the kid's book, by the way.
Yeah.
So you wrote a kid's book, but just touch on that. Touch on you just showing up to the rink, laughing, and what that kind of can do to a team. And is it still an art? Is it still there? Do you see it? Do you see it with these younger guys?
Well, I see Jimmy's brother in Philadelphia, a guy that just brought that dressing room together. And I think, not to toot my own horn, but when I got traded in 2014, I don't think they've had a guy like Kevin Hayes in Philly that kind of had fun at the rink. Yeah, like had fun at the rink, right? And after a loss, you have fun and you go out there and work your ass off and get better that next day in practice. And I think Ron Hextall, I don't know if he was a little bit too serious with that group and just kind of took the fun out of the game, right? And that's what it's all about. Uppy, I got to ask you, do you remember the one practice in Nashville? I think I might have been using, I don't know if it was a wood stick, but like a wood blade with a graphite shaft, and my stick broke at the bottom of it, right? So I had about this much of my blade left on there, and we're doing like, skate out of the corner, pass the D, regroup, and go down on a 3-on-2, and my stick blew up on the first pass, but I didn't go get another one. I didn't stop the drill, so I'm basically with a ringette stick, and I'm skating around, passing it around, and it goes on a 3-on-2, and I try and take a slap shot. I miss the puck. I fall down, and Trotz just shaking his head. He was so mad at me, I think, but all the boys were like, woo! Just loving it. Just loving it.
That's hockey, though. Yeah. I love laughing in practice, like doing something so dumb, going like they would call full Updogg, like just going complete full Updogg. How about Bird Dog? I remember you in Philly too, Johnny Stevens. It might have been Hill. It might have been Johnny or who was our assistant coach? He passed away last year. McElhardy.
Oh, Jack McElhardy.
Jack McElhardy. He was fucking awesome, by the way. We're doing like these 3-on-2 drills, and you came up and tried to make a play at the blue line, and they're like, get the puck deep. So the next drill, the next time he's up, he literally gets the puck on his half wall coming out of his zone, and he just rips a slap shot down the ice as hard as he can around the glass. Like, didn't get to the red line. blow the whistle. Fucking come on, Hartnell, treat you like be serious on next play, and he just gets to the red line and just rips another one as hard. But I mean,
I'll never forget too about John Stevens. You'll probably remember this too, Uppy. In Florida, pregame skate, and John Stevens before the practice called everyone in, and he's like, I know you guys like to throw these saucer passes around, like I don't want to see one saucer pass the whole day. And me and Loops and Carts, we're just throwing rink wide sauce on the tape, landing perfectly. We're feeling it, and he breaks up the meeting. And I said, F this. I'm like, Carts, Loops, backhand passes only today. So we're doing the same drills. We're coming out on a 3-on-0, go down, regroup all the way back and shoot. And so I'm a left winger, and it's hard to do a backhand pass, right? So I get a backhand pass from Carts, and I catch it, and I turn around back, and I'm skating backwards through the neutral zone, and I'm going hard backhand pass across the loop. He gets it, backhand pass to the line. We all circle around, backhand pass is coming up. And I'm sure John Stevens like, oh my God, this Hartnell's an idiot. But it was pretty epic.
It's his own fault for saying he can't throw a sauce in a National League practice, Hart. You proved a good point there. Fuck.
Yeah, no, and he had a great sauce pass.
Yeah.
Heel to toe, a little heel curve.
It's the best part of Pracky.
Hartsy, one of my favorite moments is when you scored that goal against Toronto and then instantly fight Phaneuf. Like, was there a huge feud you had with Phaneuf? And was he like the number one guy you couldn't stand? Because you were a guy like to get under one's skin. Who was like the number one guy you couldn't deal with?
He was always a guy for a tap and fight. You know what I mean? Like, you knew you weren't going to get killed. You knew, probably the same weight class. But if I was struggling, I always looked for, someone to fight to get out of that slump. And that shift, I got absolutely buried by him behind the net. Just like clean hit, smoked me. I was a little startled, came up, whacked it in, and then I just looked at him like, we're going, drop the mitts, and good fight, right? So I think I might have fought him 4 or 5 or 6 times in my career, and did okay in a lot of them. And another Dion story, when I made the All-Star game in 2012, he, did the whole suck it Phaneuf, thing when we were on the ice, and then we were playing him, a few days later or whatever, and he was like sour on the face-off, and I'm like, "Oh, what's wrong there, Dion?" I'm like, "You mad what I said in the All-Star game?" And he goes, "Oh, how was your first All-Star game there, kid? How was it? Do you enjoy it?" And he's been to like 4 or 5. I'm like, you got me.
That's great, yeah.
Hey, Hartsy,
Dion's a funny fucker.
Yeah, that was great feuds. Hartsy, I love the fact of your game that you could score goals and you would fight. That's the only thing I respect about you.
I've never been more nervous in hockey than my first time at the NHL Network. I'm sitting there, and we know we have a guest coming on, and I have my question all prepared, and I'm the third guy to answer the question, and so I have a backup question as well. And the 2 questions come in. I'm like, okay, I got my A question here ready to go, and I'm looking at the he's remote somewhere, right? So I'm looking at the camera, and all of a sudden I'm like, so how's the locker room? The guy's feeling okay, and then I got the producer Mayor. He's like, "You okay, Scott?"
You're like, "I think I'm gonna pass out."
But I was like, he's like, "You need to like project a little bit." You know what I mean? Like, you have a personality, use it. And I was like, "Oh my God!" My heart rate's like 180, right? Like highest it's ever been in a hockey shift. And I'm like, "Oh man, boy, I don't think I'm cut out for this." And then a few times it felt a little bit easier, and now it's not. It's still, you get a little bit of nerves, which is good, but it is kind of fun to be involved in the game and listen to you guys. You guys are having so much fun, and ESPN, it is a big network, right? Not that NBC Sportsnet isn't or NBC isn't, but to get the brand of hockey out to more people is better, right? And all different nationalities and minorities. It's so cool, the game we've got going on. Hockey literally is for everybody, and it's a great thing.
Yeah, Hartsy, and you bring up, the first time I did Sportsnet on TV, the guy in the, your earpiece is like, "All right, here we go."
Yeah.
And you're like, my heart rate too. I was like, holy fuck, here we go. So I know what you're saying there. And me and Updogg have talked, and Broadway have talked about, showing the personalities of the hockey players. You were a guy that we talk about with a great personality. My question to you is, do you think it starts with the GM and coaches allowing these players moving forward with ESPN to show their personalities and not continue just saying, get pucks deep and all the right things? In my opinion, Hartsy, it starts with the GMs, coaches, and owners letting these players show their personalities.
Yeah, I don't think there's as loud of personalities as in, football, basketball. Baseball, the walk-up songs in baseball, if you got a country boy from Oklahoma, he's playing, some Garth Brooks when he comes on, right? That's pretty cool. In hockey, you don't really, I shouldn't say you won't be able to express that, but the suit and tie before the game, like let guys, maybe dress how they want to. If they want to wear a ball cap, from their hometown, baseball team, whatever, that's cool too, right? It's a different world it is now. It's, you want everyone to have that freedom of speech, whatever. So, whatever happens. It's, whatever pays the bills, I guess.
Whoever keeps the lights on, Archie.
Hey, imagine the Russian techno you would have heard for Ovechkin scoring 700 and whatever goals this whole time if he had like a walk-up song every time he scored.
Man, it's crazy.
Hey,
all the Russian jumpsuits when they wore to the rink.
Updogg, how's your golf game, buddy? Living out in LA.
It's pretty.
The golf game, it could be better. No, I ended up losing $600 Friday. I got steamrolled by Obi and the boys.
We did get steamrolled. Well, Hartsey, his biggest problem is he's on his phone the whole fucking round, right? So the first,
I'm always paid.
The first 9, he's all right. Then the back 9, but you should see how far this guy's fucking hitting it, Hartsey. He's hitting it like, I'm not lying, like 340. You're hitting it longer than when you played. I don't know what it is, but
it's all on the hips, Bird Dog.
He's bombing.
Hey, I want to tell a quick Updogg story if I will.
For sure.
Okay, feel free, bud. This is your platform.
Oh, dude, I'll never forget it. I've never been mad at you before in my life, except for after this time. And I'm not going to say the course's name, and I'm not sure if this is going to ring a bell, but we're out there and we're playing golf, and you four-wiggled. And I know you do this quite a bit, where you have the golf balls by the hole, and you try and whack it in the woods, right?
Yeah. Did you clip him?
Literally,
I took a fucking divot.
He rips a divot like 2 iPhones back to back, beside a cup, literally beside a cup. And it was the goddamn club's championship that day, and we went out with the club pro let us go up before them, so they got all the pros coming in.
And you had just joined the club. I think summer you had just joined this club. Was that the Hermitage?
No, that was out in it was Old Natchez.
Oh yeah,
I didn't want to say that. And I turned white and I looked at him and he's like, "Oh fuck!" And he goes and he starts picking up, and the green divots are like little.
They're everywhere. They're little pebbles.
So he's trying to take the tees and he's like, "Help me out, hard." I'm like, "I'm out of here, buddy." I just went right to the clubhouse and he's sitting there trying to piece this thing back together, and it looked so bad. And they had the club championship rolling.
What's great is that they still let me join the next year.
I was so mad at you, but like, oh my god, it was
Bird
so
Dog.
funny.
I still get
that mad.
Shit. I don't swing at balls like that. I would never do that at my own club. but I've definitely wanted to throw a ball up and just launch it like 400 yards with my putter.
Yeah, and
swinging baseball.
Don't let him kid you. He fucking tossed his putter in the 9 pond like a month and a half ago, and then the newfie in him, he's trying to fish his putter out of the fucking pond. I'm like, Uppy, we'll get you another putter. Get out of there.
It was a good putter. But anyway, yeah. That's good stuff. Bird Dog, anything? Are you still doing stuff with Hartnell Down Foundation?
We are not. No, we kind of shut that down kind of after I stopped playing. And if I was in Philly, it would have been huge, I'm sure. But we did write the children's book. We took a bunch of kids from Philly area, Columbus area when I was there. For a few years and took them to Minnesota and got them out of, their cities and do these hockey camps where TJ Oshie was and Wayne Simmons and me and JVR. And we're all, working out and watching these kids work out. It was a pretty cool little deal that we did for a few years. Well, probably like seven years, but just decided to shut her down after that.
Hartsey, last one for me, buddy. First of all, thanks for doing this.
Yep.
I loved battling against you. I wanted to fucking kill you, but I know the guys that played you respected the shit out of you. You had a great career. Your scene with Megan Fox, bro. Listen, she was the one back when I was in the National League still that I was like, wow, Megan Fox. How did that come about? And talk about being nervous. Were you nervous at all shooting that scene with Megan Fox?
A little bit. She was probably the I was going to say,
she was my favorite.
Listen, before that, she was 1A.
She was
at
my
the
favorite.
Time. She was the hottest girl.
She was the best.
Smoking.
She was hot, but she was like the meanest, like, just the not nicest person. And, you know, I hate saying that word about anyone, but it was Leslie Mann was Judd Apatow's wife, or his Judd Apatow's wife. And she was in the scene as well. And she was so sweet, so loving, and so caring. And you guys need anything? And Megan Fox would just, like, as soon as the cut was on, she'd be run back to her thing. And, you know, tried like kind of talking to her the one time after they cut the one scene, and I'm like, hey, Megan, you know, and started talking to her, and, you know, she looked me up and down and just degraded me right in front of all the guys right there, and all like LePerrier and JV are like, oh, you know, like, okay, she burned you. And I'm like, I didn't even say anything rude. I was just like trying to have a conversation, right? But
yeah, you got to try.
That was pretty cool, little movie scene. Still get my residual checks from that. No big deal.
There you go.
Buys me a cup of coffee, you know, every month. So
did you get a stag card for that? Did you get a stag card? Did you have a line in that? You did. Right?
Yeah. He had a line. Full scene, like a full scene.
Yeah, so that's
you're almost 40, Uppy. You gotta start watching that.
Yeah, I know.
Full scene. They're at the bar, fucking, and Hartsy's mixing up, talking to him. It's a great scene.
I gotta get it.
Great scene for hockey players in general. So
just grinding with every extra there too, just trying to get her going. You know.
Yeah, you're like, fuck Megan Fox. Where are these extras at?
All right, Bird Dog. We know you gotta go. You got an NHL live. People need to see you. People need to hear you. But we thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Hartsy.
Hi to Katie, your little girl Molly, Wesley, old Wesley Snipes. Appreciate you, buddy. You're the man. We got to put a golf trip on the books. Me and Obi are always looking for a game.
We'll get Stoley. We'll get Stoley out there too.
We'll get 8 guys, make a little Ryder Cup action.
Love it.
It'd be great.
Awesome.
All right, Hartsy. Thanks, buddy.
All right, fellas.
Love you, man. Take care.
All right, take care, guys.
Thank you.
See you, Jimmy. Yep.